Hey there, this is the guy that just gained access to a S plus Ulmus, and welcome to this AFK journey video. So yes, it was really hard to find somebody who actually invested in Ulmus, who even wants to pull for this unit, because I don't know, I personally am not attracted by his kit, and I can understand why people are just not interested in him. And it was really hard to find anybody with an S plus Ulmus right on the first day of release, even for the wheels. So I was very lucky because my usual good friend, thank you very much for supported me by pulling this unit all the way to Supreme Plus. So we managed to unlock the EX weapon for this unit to do some play testing in Arena for some ideas, as well as do a few play testing in other game modes to see how viable this unit may be in that game mode. I also have a few other Ulmuses with Supreme Plus, which I will definitely do to sort of test this unit out, because I think this unit is pretty sleeper in a sense because of how simple and I'll say similar this unit's kit is to Danny. I think people just sort of ignore him, or people just think that this unit is not good. So we can test him out to see whether or not he's at least decent or useful. But in most cases, let me be clear with you guys, I think for most free-to-play players, Ulmus wouldn't be better than Torrent. Ulmus might be as good as Danny, but I think in most cases, Danny might be a better standalone tank. And when you compare him to the top end tanks, for example, Freesto, right? Like, he's not going to compare to Freesto in terms of tankiness. So I think his positioning lies somewhere in the middle of a support tank, which is very similar to Antandra. And after my first impression video, which I'll link in the card above, I actually realized my mistake. I think we shouldn't see him as a main tank character. We should see him more as a support tank, or more towards the control support centric kind of thinking, because his EX weapon is actually really powerful in a sense, right? Because if you take a look at his EX weapon skill, whenever an enemy target is knocked down, knocked into the air, or affected by other displacement effects, Ulmus binds the target to the ground, increasing the knockdown duration by 2 seconds and dealing damage. So this effect can only affect the same enemy once every 10 seconds. So I guess any skill that knocks the enemy down specifically, right, knocks the enemy into the air, or displace them, such as Kalita's ultimate, such as Eironn's ultimate, move them around, will be able to benefit from this skill. And there's a lot of meta units that actually benefit from this skill, which means that you can actually combo Ulmus with them in your arena team, or even your PvE team, to try to enhance the control effect. Even though I've tried this unit out a few times in another account, and I feel that he's not very suitable in a long drawn out fight because of the cooldown, right? So right here, I think his role is more of that extension of the initial control, and then you try to burst your enemy down kind of playstyle, because I don't think this unit is particularly powerful in a long sustained battle, although he does have a verdant barrier that can actually increase the longevity of your frontmost unit. So in most cases, let's say if you run Ulmus with Eironn, for example, right? So Ulmus will tank on the front line, and when he falls, he will move to the back line, and then he will provide a massive shield for Eironn. So Eironn, being an, I'll say, like, pretty tanky rogue character, might survive a lot better and then become the new front line, while Ulmus stays at the back to provide the support as well as the control effect, so that you can continue steamrolling. So I think for his team setup, it's probably still gonna be the Eironn team, obviously. I think Eironn is just so powerful with so many units, as well as great synergy with this unit, that you pretty much, I think, will have to sort of group Eironn with him. Other units which I think can work with Ulmus is obviously Florabelle. Florabelle has a knock into the air effect. Skalita has the knockback effect, so those units will benefit, but they won't beat the instant benefit of Eironn's pool, right? So this way, I think moving along the idea of this unit, I think one team which I can think of would be just a full Eironn rush comp with Ulmus, as well as 4 other damage bursters, which is what I'll test out in today's video. So that is one arena comp which I think will be pretty interesting, and it's probably a comp that is, I'll say, feasible, because this chain, this additional 2 second and additional damage, might be just more than enough to lock down the enemy's carry and then just prevent them from doing anything. Combine that with the amount of burst that burst team can offer, it is definitely a possible comp. So I guess in that direction, if we move towards that direction, Ulmus might not be a bad character because he does have some synergy with the very meta units. But I think in terms of sheer value, he's probably not the highest because I'll say he's a good add-on, but I don't think he's that meta by any means, right? So this will actually have to take a bit of testing in the next few days before we can draw a conclusion, but at least based on my initial impressions of playing him on other accounts, as well as the idea of the team that I just suggested, I think this unit is more supportive and more like a combo piece than anything else. So without further ado, right, let's dive into the arena, and then subsequently we'll run through the Supreme Arena to test this unit out. Just now what I proposed, right, was very straightforward. So we're going to run Ulmus as the frontline tank. Okay, where's Ulmus? Mr. Ulmus, please come out. Okay, over here. So we're going to run him as a frontline tank. We are going to run Iron for the instant control, for the instant pop. We're going to run Arden, obviously, because the damage pairing number is really high. And we are going to run Elsa, which has the immediate rocks AoE damage once your enemies get controlled. So Elsa, when you think about it, right, when Iron used the ultimate, you proc Elsa's third skill, you proc Ulmus EX weapon skill, and that's where the rest of your team can go ham on damage. So I'm just gonna add in a Brian, right, in case. Okay, so right here, this is the idea that I have, which is just a full damage burst comp with Ulmus control support. So without further ado, let's start the battle. Okay, so we're going to go at one time. So you pull everyone in. Okay, so you immobilize everyone and they get stunned in place, as you guys can see, for the additional 2 seconds. So then that's where your whole team is able to just jam in damage and just burst them down immediately. I think I probably need a little bit more stats because there's P3, P4. So we will have to, I'll say, put in stronger units to match the stats. So I think I will drop Brian because Brian is a bit low stats and I will probably need a little bit more sustain. So I will play a more long drawn out battle against this one. But I think with Iron, with Ulmus additional control, Elsa as well as Arden, we should have enough burst for Carolina at the very least, because Carolina's not very tanky. So without further ado, let's give it a try. So in this case, my Ulmus is really weak against the enemy team because of the tier differences, but we shall see how well this team idea or combo actually works. Okay, so Damien's card is set up, the heals is coming in, the haste is coming in. Okay, control coming in, damage from Iron coming in. Unfortunately, Elsa died pretty early on. Okay. Okay, Arden still outputting damage. Okay, Iron falling really, really low from Torrent. Who's everybody in together? Is the stun from Ulmus coming in? Is the control coming in? I think so, right? Yes. There's an additional lockdown, I think. Okay. So right now, it's 2 against 2. Unfortunately, I don't know whether or not I can out-damage the Torrent there, because Ulmus is not exactly the best damage dealer. And Iron is a decent damage dealer, don't get me wrong. But I think he might not be the strongest to deal with our dear Torrent over here. But I might be wrong, we shall see. Okay, so Iron's still doing damage because the opponent still has the confining spell and also the ability to heal back up with Damien, unfortunately. So I'll just go at 2 times. So my damage dealer died, unfortunately. I think Elsa died a little bit too quickly. Okay. So I think this idea of that initial control and bursting the enemy down is definitely viable, even against a more heavily statted opponent. Okay, so right here, Ulmus actually died and become the support. I'm not sure whether or not this is too late, because I think when he was on the front line, he's a lot weaker, right? So here, he has this supporting ability at the back. So we did not have enough damage for the Torrent, unfortunately. So we lost this one. And we'll try it again. This time around, we will change out the positioning of Elsa, I guess. So I'm gonna put Elsa here. I'm gonna put Iron here. So Iron doesn't I mean Elsa is more safe from that burst. Okay, so without further ado, let's give it this comp a try once again. Right, I think the idea is right. I think the positioning was the one that was bad. Okay, so we pull everyone, so Elsa is free to damage the enemy. Okay, drops all the rock, the additional control from Iron, and then the burst coming out from Arden. Okay, pretty nice. So rolls in for even more damage, combined with all the damage from Arden. Okay, as you guys can see, we managed to burst down a few targets, and then Elsa roll back. So this is the difference, right, when Elsa survived. So Elsa was quite a crucial team member, and even though based on the battle itself, Ulmus felt like he didn't do anything, I felt that the additional 2 seconds of control was what mattered in terms of bursting the enemy down. Because like that 2 seconds, I think your healers cannot react to the stun. And at the same time, because it's an instant at the start of the battle burst kind of thing, it is a very legit strategy. Okay, so now I'll move to Supreme Arena to test the theory. Okay, so now we are at the second battle, which is the Ulmus Burst comp, or ULMUS-EIRONN Burst comp. So the idea for this comp is straightforward. We try to burst the enemy down, and then, right, we ride on the additional control that Ulmus is able to provide. So as you guys can see, I think the opponent has some sort of burst idea there, but it seems like our burst idea is better. So even though we didn't even manage to proc our better morale, but I think that the initial Iron plus Ulmus chain combo was more than sufficient. Right, so I'm just gonna skip this battle, and then we're gonna go to the last battle featuring the Ulmus Burst comp. Since I wanted to burst the enemy down, I should choose the team which is less sustained compared to the previous team setup, because the previous team had heal-in as well as a lot of stats. So right here, as you guys can see, that chain control, grouping everyone together and then just bursting them down, it is a very viable strat. So I changed out the artifact for max haste as well, so we get things done ASAP. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to speed up the remaining battle and then talk about the Ulmus combo with the Iron teams, right, in this kind of setup. Okay, so we still lost the 3 battles, but if you take a look at this setup itself, you guys can see that incredible burst damage potential that this team has to offer. And I'll say Ulmus in this case function more like a support so far based on all these initial arena runs. As for the PvE side of things, okay, so I saw a lot of comments mentioning that I shouldn't compare Ulmus to Freyasto, which I guess it's fair. Like, I think it's fair to not compare a normal unit to a Celestial Hypogean unit. But at the same time, if I'm now a whale spender that is thinking of using Ulmus for AFK stages itself, and I have the chance to go for Freyasto, I will honestly say that Freyasto is the better unit. And even for the free-to-play players, I'll say, honestly speaking, Ulmus have no meta value for you to go for him, because he is okay to combo with all these units that I mentioned right here. But in most cases, if you are a free-to-play player, you would be going for the meta units, right? You will be going for the above average units. So is Ulmus better than the above average? Personally, not so yet, right? We need more testing on that, but he has potential. And is he a spectacular day one type of unit? Definitely not. And I believe with more testing, with more combo potentials out there, we could see a different team composition for him, at least for the PvP side of things. For the AFK stage pushing, I think he's viable, but if you're somebody who is really low on resources, I still won't recommend you to pull for him immediately. until he is proven useful by the very hardcore AFK challenge stage pusher. Because right now on top it's Smoky team all the way, right? If you're going for the meta itself, Torrent would still probably be the better choice. Heck, even Danny would still be the better free-to-play choice because her shards is already available in the store itself. So yeah, that's my initial impression of Ulmus after these arena runs. Hopefully I gave a better impression on this unit because previously I compared him to Fresto where I saw a lot of comments talking about it. So I guess it's fair. But for this unit, I think nothing too spectacular yet. Right? We'll do more testing, release more contents, and then we'll do the how worthy video for him. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!